Hello, this is James Corbett of CorbettReport.com. It's the 12th day of March 2010, and today I'm honored to be joined on the line by Sibel Edmonds, a FBI translator who was fired from her position after blowing the whistle on the explosive activities of bureau officials and top U.S. government officials that she uncovered while discharging her duties in that position. She can be found at justicitizen.com and boilingfrogspost.com. Sibel Edmonds, thank you very much for taking the time to talk with me today on the Corbett Report.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, today I wanted to talk specifically about S-372, a draconian new piece of legislation that's making its way through the Senate that would threaten to strip what very few protections national security whistleblowers enjoy under the current Whistleblower Protection Act. But before we get into that, I think it would be instructive for listeners and viewers if you talked a little bit about your own experience blowing the whistle and the various problems that you've faced attempting to blow the whistle on FBI malfeasance and government corruption. So in your own words, can you tell us about your experience and the problems that you've faced bringing that experience to the light of public scrutiny?
Sure. Let me start with the whistleblowing aspect of it. What I'm going to tell you actually is going to be something that you'll get to hear a lot from many whistleblowers, government whistleblowers. I really didn't think I was blowing the whistle. What I did was what actually I had taken the oath to do, and that was to report wrongdoing or criminal activities or government waste, fraud management to the appropriate authorities, which would be the Inspector General's office. And since I worked for the FBI, the Inspector General's office for the Justice Department, and to the appropriate committee, which in this case was House and the Senate Judiciary Committee and or Intelligence Committee. So in my mind, at the time, I didn't even consider myself a whistleblower. I came across wrongdoings, and I took those issues to my supervisors, and my supervisors' supervisors, and their managers, and all the way up to the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigations, and that is Director Mueller's office. And instead of acting on the issues that I reported, documented report, I started facing retaliation immediately. They started taking some of my tasks away, and in fact, at this time, I had not even gone to the Congress or the Inspector General's office. I was not even planning to do it. I thought if I were to report this to my superior and supervisors, it would just be addressed. Well, that was not the case. In fact, this is the FBI, they accused me of disclosing this information to Congress, which I had not, and they sent agents to my home. They asked these agents to come and confiscate my home computer and my husband's computer, business computer, because they believed I had contacted congressional members by email and I had reported these issues. Well, they took my computer away and they took it apart and they couldn't find anything because I had not done so. About a week after that, they actually ordered me to take a polygraph to say whether or not I had disclosed this information, not to the public, not to the media, but to Congress. And this is the FBI. And they gave me two options, whether I would take the polygraph and pass, or I would fail, and if I didn't take the polygraph, they would fire me. That would be ground to fire me, to terminate my contract. This was when I decided, okay, I am being retaliated against. Where do I go? So I started doing my own research, and I believed at the time, and I was proven wrong later, that there were three channels to pursue, okay? One was within the executive branch, go to the, number one, Office of Professional Responsibility within the FBI that supposedly investigates FBI matters. Also within the executive branch, go to the Justice Department's Inspector General's office, contact them, go meet with them, and confidentially disclose the fact that these were the issues I reported, and this is how I'm being retaliated against. And within the Congress, go to the Judiciary Committee. And my other option, based on what I had researched, was to go and talk to an attorney and see if there is a need to pursue this in court. Okay, so basically you have the judicial, the legislative, and the executive branch. And looking at these options, I said, well, right now I don't have to go to court. Why am I going to court? They should address that they are saying that Congress has the oversight responsibility, and also they can't hold people accountable. You know, they have the power of money for these agencies, and the Inspector General's office has been given the authority to investigate this, and that's exactly what I did. And that's when the real journey began, because the retaliation continued, and as soon as I went and disclosed this information, basically within a week, I was fired. And after that, I had basically since then 8 years, and I have lost the case in courts. The Congress, they refused to act upon this, and even though the Inspector General's office's own report, surprisingly, because they usually have whitewash report, they say they couldn't, you know, the report couldn't be conclusive, or even not really factual findings. This was a very interesting case because the Inspector General's office issued a report saying that I was right. And the FBI, the only reason they retaliated against me and they fired me was because I had brought up these issues both internally and then to the Inspector General's office. Well, in the end, that didn't make any difference because it ended there. So I had a great glowing report from the Inspector General's office, and I had some glowing remarks initially. These were from, you know, bipartisan, two senators from the Judiciary Committee at the time, Senator Grassley and Senator Leahy. They came publicly and they said I was courageous and I was brave, and the FBI had to be turned upside down, and a lot of hoorays from Congress, and how awful this thing was, that they were waiting for Inspector General's office's report, and once they got that report, they were going to do this. Well, it was nothing but sugarcoating the case, because in the end, they didn't do anything. They refused to hold hearings, and they refused to press the issue with the FBI, and not as an isolated case. This has been the case with almost every single whistleblower, for federal government whistleblowers, especially with the national security-related agencies such as the FBI and CIA, etc. And as for the courts, all the Justice Department had to do, the FBI, they just had to claim secrecy and classifications, and this draconian common law called state secret privilege, it's an executive privilege, to have the court dismissed. And what they told the courts, this is the FBI, was it doesn't matter if Sibel Edmonds is 100% right. It doesn't matter if we did all these things or not. Everything about her case is classified. Therefore, Your Honor, you should not even listen to this case. And that was it. And when they said this, when they claimed this is the Justice Department / FBI, I already had the Inspector General's report that had findings, and which was the unclassified version of it. And it didn't matter. In the end, it came down to really, even though there is this illusion of channels and these really great sounding legislation right now in place, when it comes to practice, really it is not what it seems. You really don't have any channels. If they were implemented, those legislations, they were really practiced, even right now, not being complete, you still would say, okay, there is a course of action and there are channels, but the people, whether it's the Congress or the courts, they really have not done their jobs in terms of using their power in implementing these rights, or really do their jobs in terms of oversight and accountability. And as long as that's the case, there are no channels. And when I established National Security Whistleblowers Coalition, we have more than 150 national security whistleblowers. The average years of experience for our members is 20 plus years. I mean, these are the veteran agents from the DEA and DIA and CIA and the FBI. Well, when we first started this organization, all of us together, not a bureaucratic NGO that is there with big board of directors, none of whom are whistleblowers, but we were just whistleblowers. We don't have anyone but whistleblowers. No headquarters, no fundraising. We thought, okay, we will get together and we will try to pursue these issues collectively. Well, initially our motto, our message was, even though these channels really don't exist and they're not perfect, to be whistleblowers, pursue them. And once you exhaust them, then go to the media or disclose it publicly. Try to do it the way they are telling you to do it, even though it's not perfect. So this was our message to wannabe whistleblowers, people who were pondering, well, should I come forward? Should I do this? And after really campaigning in Congress, I mean, for 2 years, we had press conferences in front of various congressional offices. We had several hearings about oversight, about secrecy. Well, they were all in the end were proven futile. Nothing really changed. The media really didn't give it much coverage. And with Congress, basically, their position was, well, make us do it.